Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a fantastic day or evening. In today's story, OP found out his wife cheated on him with a therapist after he hired a PI who caught them in a motel. Now, let's get into today's story to find out what happened. I don't know how to start this. I guess I'll just get right into the story so you can hear about the betrayal. This is more of a rant than anything. Still, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. I met her at my cousin's wedding. She was the most beautiful woman in the room, and she happened to be a member of the bridal party, which made it easier for us to talk. After a few drinks, I worked up the courage to talk to her. We got to know each other, exchanged numbers, not social media, which I thought made it seem serious, and we got to know each other for the rest of the night. After that, we fell head over heels for one another. It was like I couldn't get enough of her. She filled my thoughts every day and night, and we talked on the phone every single chance we got. Mostly about nothing important. It was nice. We started dating regularly. I called her my girlfriend, and after 2 years, my wife. We made a nice family together over the last few years. We had one child, a girl. Neither of us was the same after our kid, but my wife suffered from postpartum depression. It is a nasty disease that eats up the soul, from what I can tell. And after a few months, and the second time I saw her yell at the child, my wife found a therapist. Things actually looked like they were improving for a second. My wife took the therapist's recommendations and found a hobby: therapy. She seemed to go all the time, 3 times a week, almost religiously. It seemed like all she did was go to therapy sometimes. And though her care for our child skyrocketed, she wasn't paying any attention to me. She would get home, give me a peckish kiss, and then go off and play with the kid. I found out that playing with the kid was actually her sitting on her phone around our child. It seemed weird for her to lie to me. So I spied over her shoulder, but she turned and asked what I was doing. I said that she'd been distant and we had a big fight, right there in front of the kid. Once we had that fight, her phone was on lockdown. Still dumbly, I assumed she was having some sort of mental breakdown and allowed her this space to talk with her therapist, who she now saw 4 times a week, once more for an additional session of exposure therapy. It's crazy because I didn't even have to look at her phone to find out the lies. That Sunday morning, I borrowed my wife's iPad to search Craigslist for cars. It's kind of an old habit, and that's when a message from my wife's therapist popped up on the screen. Call me stupid, but I thought it wasn't normal for a therapist to message their clients whenever, so I went to her gallery. For some reason, I knew I'd find something. So when I saw the picture of my wife with her therapist, I didn't throw the iPad or blow up in her face like I thought I might. The photo wasn't incriminating, but they looked too close for comfort. Alarm bells went off, sure, but these were easily ignored by the interest I had in finding out why she was so close with her therapist, and whether a good therapist would take photos with their clients at all. This made me think about the messages again, and that's directly where I went. I figured out that she'd been messaging her therapist day after day for 6 months now. He had taken over my spot in her heart. My world went red for a while, and I couldn't focus on anything. I had been of a sound enough mind to take screenshots and send them to my phone and then delete the traces. I imagine that's what someone feels like when they don't know they're in a horror story, just trying to escape and cover tracks so you make it out alive. Anyway, I talked it over with my friend after I calmed down for a bit. He recommended I talk to a lawyer, who recommended I file for a divorce without telling my wife. He said this kind of thing happens all the time, giving his condolences for my unfortunate fate shortly after. In the following days, I had to fake it with my wife. It wasn't very hard. She barely paid any attention to me. Still, I couldn't really sleep knowing that she'd been out sleeping in some other bed with a therapist and not doing much sleeping at all. I hired a private investigator per recommendation by the lawyer. Turns out those people know how to do their jobs. The investigator found her going to a nearby motel with a therapist during her appointments. All 4 of them, every week. Not gonna lie, that felt like taking an upward traveling bullet to the sternum. My lawyer said it was what he called a foolproof case. I told him I didn't really care. I just wanted things to end. We reported the therapist to the medical board with proof from our PI. It was kind of nice to watch the therapist get reported and finally be truthful about the divorce. My wife called frantically once finding out that her secret man was in hot water, crying and begging me to work things out because it was a mistake, that she wasn't thinking straight due to her mental disorder, etc. I called her out on her bullshit. Next, I called her parents. They were rational about the whole thing, scolding their daughter for cheating, and they immediately started from a whole state away to pick her up right when I asked. In the meantime, I packed all of her remaining things into her duffel bags and put them on the porch, by which time she arrived home and started her waterworks. I simply shut the door in her face and wouldn't let her come in to talk. There was nothing left to talk about. When her parents arrived a while past midnight, they found her a mess from hours of crying. So, I sent the divorce papers to make things official, and the rest is pretty much history. Court history, to be clear. I ended up suing for custody of the daughter, as much as I could get, my house, and no alimony. 9 months of fighting hard with a lawyer who truly believed in my case proved to be pretty effective. The thing is that now that I'm writing this, I guess that I've realized this all was supposed to happen. My ex-wife wasn't happy, and neither was I. Now my daughter is adjusting well in our new city, and we aren't bogged down by the weight of arguments with my ex-wife. I really think that my life might look up from this point on. But then again, I don't want to be too sure. OP, I'm glad the divorce proceedings went well for you. I'm also happy to hear that you do feel much better without your ex-wife in your life. You deserve so much more than what she was giving you. Even though she had depression, I think she should have worked harder if she really cared about you or your marriage. But instead, she went ahead and cheated on you several times with her therapist. I really wish you and your daughter the best, and I know you'll certainly find someone much better than your ex when you decide to go back to the dating world. Now for today's second story. My girlfriend, 34 female, and I, 35 male, have been together for a long time. 13 years to be exact. She and I agreed to hold off on marriage until we were financially stable with stable careers. 13 years in, that didn't quite happen, so we agreed to remain unmarried. During the past year, my girlfriend lost her job as an office manager, which I got for her, and then as a phlebotomist. She was let go after 2 weeks on the job. The firings and also her inability to get a steady job wreaked havoc on her self-confidence. Her self-confidence wasn't that high to begin with. But after the firings, it took a nosedive. I was there for her as best as I could. I told her that it was only temporary, that those places weren't the right fit for her, and listened to her when she voiced her frustrations. I helped with a resume, suggested a job placement program, etc. For the last 3 months or so, she has been in contact with a guy, a college student who asked for her number, and she willingly gave it. He texted her, and they met up a few times. As far as I know, they are continuing to meet. She didn't hide any of this from me. She said he was simply a friend, but later on, she said that she had developed romantic feelings for the guy. But she also said she didn't want to lose me, and that she simply was continuing to meet with him as a friend, and that nothing physical happened. She said she was just confused. I felt devastated. I'm feeling devastated. I went through all of that denial, grief, anger, bargaining, and acceptance of emotions. Trust is gone. The bond has been broken. What gets me so pissed is the fact that she thinks she's continuing to see the guy as a friend, and as long as nothing physical happens, then it's okay. It's not okay. She's sharing her emotions, hopes, dreams, and life with this guy while having me as a boyfriend. That's not how any of this works. Friends don't go out to dinner and have drinks. That's dating. And it gets better. She said that he's graduating in May and going back to his home country, Japan. She also has another guy friend, whom she frequently meets up with and texts. Right now, she's hanging out with one of her 2 friends and said she'll be back in the morning. I'm moving out. I don't want any part of this BS. I just need to vent and get this out there instead of holding it in and letting it eat me up inside. Due to my housing situation, my brother offered me a room in his home, but the place is not ready. I have to stay here with her until the middle of January. I'm so over this, but it still hurts like hell. How could someone do this to me? I'm not perfect, but I've supported her as best as I can financially and emotionally. I've paid for most of the rent for most of the time we've lived together. I've given her money when she was jobless. I know what I will do, but I don't know what to do in the meantime. It sucks so much. I can't sleep. I've lost some weight and just don't know what to do. Update. Thank you everyone for your sound advice and kind words. She came back early this morning and we had a huge row. As predicted, the guy kissed her, and according to her, she didn't kiss him back. But she didn't leave his place either. Horse manure, but whatever. I asked her why she didn't go home, and her excuse was that Uber was expensive, lol. She said that if it made me feel better, she would only see him during the daytime and explicitly tell him that it was only a friendship. Sure, but a bit of good news. My brother said I can move in within 2 weeks. I just need to find a day when she's working or out of the place to move. I'm a minimalist, so there's not a lot of stuff. OP, I definitely agree that leaving is the best choice for you. Not so sure about her, but she definitely seems happy enough. In terms of coping, please try your best to distract yourself in any way possible. To take your mind off events, start a new hobby, or hang out with some friends. Just occupy yourself and your free time, and try to spend as much time away from her and speaking to her as possible. If you can detach yourself from conversations with her, she might realize her mistakes and clear up her act. But even if she does, you should still leave. You deserve better. Don't focus on the time invested in your relationship. Live, learn, grow. Take some time to reflect on things for a good while and work on yourself. And eventually, the right woman will come along. Now for today's final story. I really hate my ex. I don't ever want to see her or be with her, but it hurts so much knowing she chose someone else over me 3 years together. We had amazing memories. I was literally the happiest I was in life when I was with her. Every day from our Walmart and Target runs to living with each other, playing video games together, and also having the best vacations, including our first time at Disney World. I still to this day don't know why she cheated. She said she didn't, but the proof and all was there. It's been 4 months, and I've been a lot better mentally and getting more fit. I can't believe after getting a new job, she instantly fell in love with someone else. I didn't know she was doing things behind my back with him. Reading the messages between them, when I found out, hurt me. She would tell him how she wasn't happy, and that I was annoying, and she was depressed. She really seemed fine to me. I took her out to events/dates just a few weeks before D-Day, and she rested her head on my shoulder while we enjoyed our time together. After finding out and telling her to get out, she told me things about why she did what she did. She said she needed time to love herself and she was depressed. I wasn't loving her so much. I didn't pay enough attention to her problems, and the AP did. He would message her saying he promised never to hurt her and called her his queen. After being together for 3 years, the natural honeymoon stage is over, and that's when we become adults and think about life and our future. Now, yes, I do regret not showing her enough love and paying attention to her problems. I felt horrible after she told me all this. It hurt me when she said she knew I would have cheated if I could, that I'm a narcissist, while I sat there crying and hurt while she had no emotion. She looked annoyed. When I would mention breaking up with her when we argued, she would hold pills and threaten to kill herself, but she was calm when I kicked her out. Months later, she tried talking to me and begged me to talk with her because she was depressed, but I ignored her because I knew my worth. Now, after getting herself together and being with the AP, she actually stopped reaching out to me. I'm glad she stopped, but it also confused me. It hurt seeing posts from the AP saying how she made him happy, how he promised to show her the world, to be there for her at her darkest times. It made me sit back and wonder how much I should have actually listened and read her emotions. I just get these random sad moments, and I blame myself for everything. I even admitted to everyone, even God, mistakes I had made. I hate her, but I still told everyone about the good she did for me before. I'm not a negative person and wish the best for everyone no matter what. I didn't deserve to be hurt like this, but everything happens for a reason. Like I said, I knew right from wrong, and I never treated her badly. We had our ups and downs, and I admit I said hurtful things to her, even bringing up her past, which she lied to me about at the beginning, that had to do with some type of incest. I don't want to say what exactly, but it has to do with that category, and she was willingly doing it. I definitely learned from all this. I know what to do and how to treat the next woman in my life, but I'm in no rush. It just hurts knowing she's happy with someone else, and so is he. I miss the girl I met 3 years ago, but I don't miss the cheater in her. OP, You are continually making one huge mistake that will prevent you from truly moving on. You are accepting blame for the actions of a cake-eating cheat. She didn't cheat because of any wrong you did. She didn't cheat because of something you weren't doing. She cheated for thrills. I can assure you that your cheating wife will get tired of her AP and will seek to find someone else who can give her that new high that she seems to be craving. Your wife is the type that will always be trying to find someone better. You know what you need to do once the affair fog is up and she comes crawling back to you. Best of luck to you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts. Take care.